Liberal Currents presents Half the Answer with your hosts, Caitlin M. Green and Trent R. Nelson.
Trent, I'm not going to say the thing. I'm not going to say happy days are here again because we bombed Iran. I can't say happy days. So Trent, days are here again, and here they are, and we're in them. We're living them, whether we like it or not. And this is half the answer, where understanding a question is half the answer. I'm your co-host, Caitlin Green. With me, of course, is Trent Nelson. We're writers and editors for Liberal Currents, and I guess you being a history buff is really going to pay off today because I don't know anything that happened before today. I'm going to need your help. So who have you brought me today to help us?
Well, for our listeners and our viewers who know that perhaps happy days are not here again, you may remember that we had John Ghazvinian on the program not so long ago, and we spoke about the history of Iran and the United States. And as Caitlin learned at that time, it goes back much farther than yesterday. It goes all the way back into the 18th century, and things were very nice between the two nations for a long stretch of time. In fact, as John noted, there was news coverage in one Philadelphia paper, I believe it was, that apologized for not having any new coverage of Persia at that time. Very interesting, very strange. But, well, things have not been so good for many decades at this point. Lots of people like to look back on 1979, but we can look back further if we wish. We could look back on Mohammad Mossadegh. We could look back even further than that. But you'll have to go watch the John Ghazvinian episode. Come on now. Caitlin, to talk about what's happening right now, to talk about the fact that, hey, we bombed Iran and Israel did too. Well, we are speaking with Jeff Waldorf, and you probably know him as the Logical Leftist. Well, a friend of the program, absolute brilliant fella. And, well, we had to rap about what is cooking right now because the kitchen is hot and no one wants to go in, to be short. Jeff, how are you today, sir?
I mean, how am I? Ooh,
how are you?
You're already starting out with the loaded questions, guys. Wow.
How's your mood? Is it so good?
Not so much. Not so much. A lot of bad things happening today. A lot of bad things been happening the past year. And so, that's kind of where I'm at. Is it's one of those, you gotta basically just play every day by ear, and just like, okay, what basically you wake up and say, and ask yourself, ask the universe, I suppose, what kind of fresh hell are we going to experience today?
What's it going to be today?
And that's basically it. Every single day.
Sometimes it's death from above, I guess. Well, okay, so we put you on the schedule for today, and I was like, oh, great, we're going to have the Logical Leftist. I can't wait to talk to him. I don't know which topic to choose. I really hope I can think of, what thing we should be talking about. And then, the monkey paw finger curled. Yeah. And it was like, I guess it's war with Iran.
Yay.
Well, shoot.
Here we go.
Yeah, narrowed it down for me real fast.
So Jeff, you have been covering life, we might call it, on your program for some many years. Is that correct?
That would be correct. Yes. Life under establishment Democrats, like Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and life under Donald Trump in the right wing. And so, I mean, look, at the risk of alienating some of my longtime viewers, I do have to say life was a little bit better under Joe Biden and Obama compared to where we're at now.
Breaking news.
A shit show.
Right. I mean, if you're just comparing the two.
Well, yeah. I mean, and it's not to say that, of course, being under the establishment was all that fantastic. We still had a lot of problems, but boy, do we have a lot more now. Well, hell of a lot more.
To that point,
problems.
It's all a matter of perspective, is it not, Jeff? Right? We see where we are on the mountain, and we say, well, we've climbed a lot, but we've still got a long way to go. All of a sudden, when you've fallen down the mountain a little bit, it looks a lot taller to climb up there where you want it to be. And right now, we are farther away from where we want to be than
we're on our ass in a ravine right now. It's not great.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's subjective reality, of course, as you had mentioned, but there's also objective reality, right? And so the objective reality is we are actually in a worse spot than we were before. And part of that objective reality does mean accepting the fact that, yes, the establishment Democrats have had a hand in creating this current situation. And so, Obama opened the door on some of these things, and Trump barreled right through it and broke the door frame, and then took the door, hit somebody with it, and then set it on fire, as well as the rest of the house. That's what happened. I mean, yes. I think that's pretty apt. I don't know. What do you all think about that?
We need a new door
frame. I think that's right. It's okay to point out the responsibility that is borne by the Democrats in not safeguarding our democracy better, right? And not doing things that were it risked being unpopular or looking like too much. We're just constantly fighting this battle of, well, if I do a lot, then everybody's going to go, oh my God, you're doing too much. You're overreacting, right? And it's well, I don't think it was overreacting, right? It was just accurate prediction.
It was reacting. It was being like, this is going to be not good. You people, I don't know what you're not seeing
the
here.
Severity.
Yeah. So with that said, Jeff, you've been watching everyone say that Iran was going to develop nuclear weapons and attack us for just ever. Yeah, you lived the montage. Is that correct?
Oh God, yes. Every day for the past, I don't know, a few decades that I can remember, at least, it was Iran. They're 2 weeks away from a bomb. They've got the mushroom clouds. Gee, that sounds familiar. Didn't they make the same predictions about Iraq having the weapons of mass destruction, mushroom clouds? We gotta go in. We gotta do. We gotta take down. We gotta take down Saddam Hussein, and then because he's working with now. Osama bin Laden, and so we got to do that. We got to take them all down. You see, in order to protect America, and we're seeing that same playbook being used, except that this time there's no Osama bin Laden that you could point at. These folks are so stupid. Okay, in our government right now, Pete Kegbreath, he is such a dumb fuck. Okay. Yeah. He's a brick. Okay. His brain has been replaced by driftwood. Okay. If he even had one in the first place. All right. This guy is so stupid. They don't even have a villain. Right. It's just Iran. That's it. If they were smart at all, then they would at least try to create a narrative, lift up the, this scary Iranian guy as this is the guy. This is the guy. This is the terrorist. You see, we're trying to stop him.
They've been trying to say that Ali Khamenei, who again is not a great feller, no. They've been trying to paint him in that extreme light, and certainly the news that comes out of Iran, well, it's not great. They were a theocratic autocracy that replaced just a plain old autocracy, right? In 1979. So, people, they've been asking me, they've been saying, well, haven't you seen everyone cheer? Well, yeah, no one's thrilled that this fella is, lots of people didn't like him, and for, good reason. But all one kind of has to do for a second, right, is close your eyes and see, that happening in any other country. Just replace Iran with any other country, right? Somebody comes in and kills your leader. A percentage of the population doesn't like that leader, right? But are they really are they like super duper thrilled that like some nation just like assassinated like the head of their state? And in this particular instance, like not only is he the head of their state, but he's also a religious leader. And so like Zateo, I believe, recently published noting that. Right. Noting that, he was not beloved by everyone, but in other ways, like he actually transcended a president or a prime minister because he also has this, religious authority attached to him as well.
Yeah, that's like kind of an additional layer, right? On top of, for example, let's look at what happened in Venezuela, right? Where we literally came in and just kidnapped their president. Like, what are we
like out of his bed, right? And his gym jams.
Yeah, and it's just now like that's. But you look at what's what we did in Iran, and that's just an additional layer on top of that. So it's not just killing or kidnapping a leader. In this case we did kill their leader, but they're now also they were a religious leader, and so you've got a whole lot of Shia Muslims probably not thrilled with this. Okay, not thrilled with us, as if we need more things for them to be not thrilled about when it comes to the United States and our meddling and in the Middle East and as well as the relationship that we have with the government of Israel, the right-wing government of Israel that is filled with corruption. Netanyahu is a war criminal, so we've got all that, and so boy. When they talk about how we're the great Satan, I'm not a religious person. I can see it. I can definitely see it.
I mean, it would be so cool if we could not play into that a little. Like, we keep doing stuff that's like, well, if you were inclined to think it before.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's funny, because it's not funny, but you got
it's funny. It's funny grimace, not funny haha.
Yeah. So you people like fucking Lindsey Graham and Keg's Breath, they're all like, oh yeah, they think of us as the great Satans. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna totally be the Satan.
Why?
No, that's not what we want to do here. And again,
do that.
if we really cared about and it gets to the ultimate heist part of this, right? Because this isn't about democracy. It's not about spreading freedom or anything like that, or even helping the people of Iran. You think any member of our government gives a fuck about anybody in Iran? No, of course not. Of course not. They don't care. This is never about that. Okay. It's always about, several different things, right? Distraction from the Epstein files. I think that's the big one there. And you can disagree with me if you want on that. Secondly, enriching defense contractors. Third, Donald Trump being Donald Trump and acting like he's tough, whatever, and Christian nationalism. These are all the reasons that I think that we're doing what we're doing right now. And again, if I missed anything, feel free to add in.
Well, I would say like not necessarily just the Epstein files, but this is a thing that you can do if you're a leader of a country and your approval ratings are tanking. Get us into a war, and then everybody's thinking about that instead of, all the reasons why they hated you to start with. And, like it works to varying degrees. I don't know if this is going to save him, in terms of like approval.
You bring up a great point about his approval, his poll numbers, the economy that has just completely tanked with the tariffs that he's still trying to do, even though the Supreme Court put the brakes on it. He's still trying to be out there pushing 10 to 15% tariffs on countries that are illegal. Right. So he's still out there doing it. And then, we need a distraction. Let's go to Iran.
Because we've all had a chance to see that he did not lower anyone's prices on shit.
No.
So it's not great.
No. Yeah. And again, like this all of this comes to a head, and I cannot help but look back and think that this problem was already solved
Mm-hmm.
Like, I lived through a time period where this problem was actually solved, and it was solved in, like, as I wrote in a very Baroque style, like a pragmatic utopian type manner. Like, negotiations and diplomacy actually like won the day. Like, we are going to like build trust up through like a long-standing like diplomatic agreement that is not only like bilateral, but it's like multilateral. It's even got people we don't like it. Right,
blow it up with bombs. That's better.
Get rid of it. Right, blow it up. Right, and as you noted, Jeff, anybody who was under the illusion that this was some humanitarian endeavor need only speak to the parents of the children who are dead now, and they will tell it to you straight. They'll tell it to you straighter than anybody that you're gonna hear, because for them, they lost a tyrant, but most likely they also lost one of the most important parts of living. And so that is a trade that no parent, I suspect, would take. To be
absolutely. And I want to go back just a second, because I criticized Obama earlier, right? But what you brought up, the Iran agreement, was actually one of the best foreign policy wins of this entire era. I mean, that multilateral agreement to have inspectors come in and inspect all of Iran's nuclear facilities to make sure that they're not enriching uranium, that was a huge win.
That's an incredible win.
Just as you mentioned, Trump came in and said, and then he's going to wipe his ass.
It's not mine, so I hate it, right? It's like literally, I didn't do it, so let's kill it.
Also, let's not forget, one of the sole reasons Trump does something to undo Obama's legacy is simply because Obama.
Yeah, he just hates him personally.
Hates him.
Yeah, hates him.
And this is part of that like Trump personalist regime kind of structure, right? Is that like it's a lot about personal vendettas. And similarly, like with Iran, with these strikes, it's like he thinks he's the star of like an action movie, the way he's talking about it, right? Because he's like, because right now they're prosecuting that assassination attempt that it was a Pakistani man, and they're accusing him of having been bankrolled by Iran. The whole thing stunk to high heaven. It was a terrible plan, and he had no way of accomplishing it. Like, it was so embarrassing. But, whatever. It's what they have, right? So they're like, oh, well, there was an assassination attempt that Iran did. And so now Trump is like, his exact words, I got him before he got me. That's what he says about drone striking or, missile striking Ayatollah Khamenei. Is I got him before he got me.
Again, to get back to the not haha funny, but when you think about, I got him before he got me, all right? So I went and drone strike Iran and killed the leader. Pretty much all the assassination attempts on Trump's life of recent have not been from Iran or the radical left. It's been his own supporters.
A lot of the time,
or people who are ostensibly on the right, maybe even further to the right, the Groypers, people like that, the Nick Fuentes fans, those are the people. And he certainly ain't going to drone strike any of those people.
He thinks it's Die Hard, and that like he just got Hans Gruber. Like he's in his own world.
That world sucks. Sucked into it. It's more like we're in like a solar system, and he is the black hole at the center. Sucking everything down and destroying and ripping up everything, and we can't escape that, because some idiots thought, hey, let's put him in a position of power again. Yay,
let's touch that stove. It won't hurt. It'll be fun, actually. We'll feel alive.
It's interesting because the 20th century forward, you get like autocrats, wannabe autocrats, right? And they just like write books about like, hey, you know, like if I had power, you want to know what I'd do, right? And they just say it, right? And then they like somehow reach a point of power, and everyone's like, well, I wish I had known what he was thinking of doing all them years, right? And it's like, bro, he got it published. Like, you just need to read what he's saying.
And Trump didn't even write a book. He went on TV and said it.
Thank you, right? You just have to hear him say, I am essentially vengeance incarnate. All right. If any person says that to you, go away. Leave them. Or get them to leave you.
He also said, I'm going to be the president of unity. I'm going to be the president of peace. I am peace, he said, which is I am peace. Right? And like a bunch of centrist, reactionary, lib pundits were like, oh, well, you know what? The difference between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump is Donald Trump isn't going to send you to the Middle East to die in a pointless fucking war. Oh, okay. So what are we doing now?
Every day I wake up, one of the first images that flits through my mind, it's a white page with black type, and it says, Donald the Dove and Hillary the Hawk. Donald the Dove and Hillary the Hawk. We have had to live with that shit take for, I mean, that should go in the history books, right? Like right at the start.
Yeah, and here's the thing. He didn't even have to attack Iran to have gotten, you know, to have shown that he was never about peace. I mean, you can go back to the first Trump administration where he literally dropped the mother of all bombs on Afghanistan and increased drone strikes in the Middle East. I mean, like, I forget what percentage he increased drone strikes in the Middle East during his first administration, but it was a lot. And guess what? Not only did he take the so-called gloves off the military back then, which led to a massive increase in civilian casualties to our drone strikes. Okay. But also, again, dropped the mother of all bombs, did saber rattling with, of course, North Korea, and continued basically all the conflicts that he claimed that he was going to end.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's been a fraud the entire time. And somehow he got laundered. Somehow he's Donald the Dove. No.
How did this happen? Yeah.
How about Donald the Dumbass?
At least Donald the Dove happened like before. Wasn't that before Trump won that one?
Yes,
came
that was
out?
before Trump won.
Yes. See, this is why Tyler Austin Harper is on my shit list, is because he said that last year, where he was like, well, Trump won't send you to a pointless war. So that is why I'm calling for him to be brought before me to look me in the eyes and explain why he thought that was a reasonable thing to say. I want to hear it.
We have been bombing countries or attacking at rates that make Sleepy Joe look like he was sleeping, right? In terms of drone strikes, we the drone is just as an autocrat or as a leader, one would suspect it's one of the more attractive weapons. It's a small like plane with guns on it that you can control from like
and no human people are like
right. There's no threat of like an American getting killed. Right. And so
unless you kill them by accident because you drone struck the place where they were without telling them ahead of time, for example.
Or like for
Inception.
Maybe if, the drone pilot, I don't know, might have had too many hot pockets or something and then had a heart attack or while he's
lethal heartburn.
I don't know. You never know. That's a possibility.
Or they take a minute to think about what they just did and the guilt takes them. You never know.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, again, this is, as somebody who grew up on video games, I do understand part of the argument against violent video games, actually, because the normalization of violence could lead to somebody getting a nice job with Hot Pockets and coffee. And we wouldn't want that to
Now,
happen.
interesting how you bring that up, because I am a lifelong gamer myself, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm one of those people who always, looked at the Jack Thompsons. I don't know if you were familiar with him, the all violent video games, and even, I had a big disagreement with Ed Schultz when he was alive. He was great on a lot of issues, but boy, you get him talking about video games and violence and mass shootings, and boy, he just goes off into, places where we don't want to go. Because if you're a real gamer, you got to understand that, it does not drive violence. They're not murder simulators. No, the real murder simulators are, well, it's actually more of right-wing ideology, when you think about it, because the right wing, the current right wing, is a death cult. I mean, I don't know if you agree with that, but that's a pretty strong statement. Okay. But I do believe they are a death cult. They are extremely violent. Okay. You look at all the rhetoric, right? That even some of the different ads during the Obama era, right? Where you had Obama's face basically on a gun target, or you had these different ads where they would take a machine gun to like a bill that they don't like. I mean, they've been steeped in violence and violent rhetoric for so long. Okay.
Right. The gun worship and the talking each other up and hyping each other up about what we're going to do, all of that stuff that doesn't go nowhere.
Right. And the focusing on certain groups. I mean, we talk about panics. Certainly there was a video game, Violence Panic, in the 90s. We go back and have spoken about the Satanic Panic during the 80s.
Heavy music.
Right. Heavy metal music. Right. Ozzy Osbourne getting brought up, because a child committed suicide. A terrible thing, of course. And of course, these discussions, as I think you alluded to, Jeff, right, they often end up intersecting with freedom of expression, right? Freedom of speech, and things of this nature. I think it's easy to actually suggest that the GOP for some time, death cult is a term that you hear. You just look at it and you say, well, they don't support things that protect people from getting sick oftentimes, and they support guns, which commit lots of violence all the time, and they create bills that make it so that women cannot get proper health care, which is certainly violent, and violence against both women and children. And then, of course, you look at the way that they appraise the transgender community, and that is steeped with violence. It's they don't support children through welfare programs. That's violence. I mean, there is really no pro-life.
Right.
It's all it's very Darwinian in a way that Darwin would absolutely be like, this is fucking crazy. Malthus would be like, what?
Do it.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of really goes back to the core of what this movement actually is. It's not about any of the things that they're actually saying that it's about. It is about punishment. It is about revenge. Okay. This is a revenge against the liberal order, against liberalism itself. And that's really what it is. It's revenge, it's violence, it's all these different it's about, making sure our enemies pay in whatever way possible.
Right. It's own the libs, it's liberal tears, it's it's punish the yucky people, it's kill the yucky people, it's just get them away, all the undesirables.
Exactly. People who are not the same religion people who do not live the kinds of lives that we think are acceptable. We're going to go after those people. And again, all of this kind of, you can see the threads between everything that we're talking about and, of course, what we're doing now in Iran, when you have the focus of state power being directed towards not just the governmental officials in Iran, because again, I don't really care about the Ayatollah, right? Honestly, but like you have people there who are innocent people. You had 125 school children that were bombed, little girls, by our joint strikes. I mean, those are innocent people. They didn't set policy for Iran, and yet they're dead. And of course, the right wing, they don't care. They don't care about that.
No, they're not even talking about it. There's not even a to be sure. This is sad. Right. It's just like it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. We're just going to completely ignore the fact that children have been bombed to pieces, to death. Okay, there's nothing left of those kids. All right, and for a party that supposedly is believes in being pro-life and caring about children. I mean, what was that whole thing that they used against trans people? Oh, I got to protect the kids, man. We got to protect the kids. Right. They're targeting our children. You're targeting other people's children in another country. And by the way, let me just connect this as well to Cuba. You know what we're doing in Cuba right now. We are blockading the country. They have run out of energy. They have no oil because we have blockaded them. And you know what happens? Everything shuts down. Their entire economy, their entire country has been shut down completely. No medicine, no food, no sanitation, no clean water. People are starving.
That is
Children
murder.
Are starving. We're doing literal violence against them without having to fire a shot.
Right. So you leftists, you think everything is violence, including, starving and directly causing the death of regular people. How dare you?
Yeah.
Violence is only when I say it's violence. You can't.
Right. It's only when somebody says something mean about me on Twitter. That's that's real violence.
Or when I go onto the college campus and imagine that somebody probably wants to punch me. That's violence. I'm going to write in it about the free press. I'm going to write in it. It's going to be so bad. Well, okay. But have you considered that we have actually been at war with Iran for 47 years and this is ending it? And you're welcome. Leftists, you don't like war? Thank you, Mr. Trump.
We've been at war for 47 years. These people are nuts.
So let me attribute that appropriately, right? That was Representative Pat Harrigan, who went on to our television screens and said, this is about the future of America. We've been at war with Iran for 47 years. Whether it was Beirut, the Khobar Towers, U.S. casualties in Iraq, and even Afghanistan, it's been a long time. And then he forgot where his sentence was going and said some words that didn't make sense. It was great.
I really want him to tell me, like, hey, I want him to answer, like, hey, Mr. Harrigan, right? Is that his name? Harrigan?
Yeah.
Harrigan.
Forgettable.
Shows how much I know him, right? Or care. Hey, what were we doing in Afghanistan again? Can you tell me why we were there? How about can you tell me why we were in Iraq? And can you tell me why we were in those two countries?
Whatever it was, it's Iran's fault as of today and always has been.
Well, they like to talk about those unfortunate moments in our recent, decades-long history, but they do not like to mention the Iraq-Iran war, where where certain individuals in the Reagan administration helped Iraq use chemical weapons on Iranians, which you're not allowed to do. And
are you saying we participated in war crimes, Trent? Because that's a very serious allegation that I've never heard before.
Yeah, and they don't like to talk about how, like, you know, we helped to get Mohammad Mossadegh overthrown, and then after they eventually, removed the Shah from power, they wanted to try him for crimes against their society as well, using secret police that were known as Savak, and the Shah got to live out the rest of his life, I believe, in the United States. So,
of course, you lefties are gonna bring that up. You know what's next? You're gonna talk about the death squads in South America funded by the CIA.
Right. Well, yeah, they really don't want to talk about Iran-Contra.
No, they don't want to talk about that.
What's next? You're gonna talk about how we literally gave weapons and money to Osama bin Laden in Afghanistan. Yeah, actually, yeah. Let's talk about that.
Well, if we've been at war with Iran for 47 years, like, if my mental math is right, that covers all of that time. So
it covers all of it.
Yeah, and you know what?
It's fair game.
The careers of a lot of these politicians, by the way, also go back to some of those periods. You can find some of the same ghouls that are cheering on this particular conflict that also was cheering on those previous ones.
Not Pat Harrigan, because he is 14 years old, but other ones.
well, no, I mean, maybe to your point, Jeff, that notion is represented by, I think, the very famous meme that we have all seen, Holden Blood Feast, right? 113 years old, Republican, wants war in Iran more than anything, and is a solid bipartisan voter, right? That is essentially what has been going on since 1979, and there is, to some degree, kind of like Cuba. And of course, this is not to justify, any barbarous behavior by any of the regimes that have been in place, over the decades in either country. But it would be easy to say that there's a bit of sour grapes involved. We really wanted Cuba. We really wanted Cuba for ever. And then we also really enjoyed having Cuba as a place where capitalism could just go capitalism out. And the same thing with Iran, we really enjoyed having Iran as our regional ally, and we were really hurt. But thank you, Jeff. And we were very much hurt by their desire to nationalize their oil, and then we were very much hurt by their desire to get rid of their nice king, who we very much enjoyed hanging out with.
Well, it's very much if we can't have you, nobody can, right?
Literally.
And funny enough, doing all that literally pushed them into the arms of religious fundamentalism. Which then they get mad about. Those Muslims, the fundamentalist Muslims.
They did the same thing with the PLO. They did the same thing with the PLO, with the Palestinian Liberation Organization. They were like, oh man, the PLO was so, you can't get anything done with them, right? They're such a menace. They're just unreasonable. So let's help fund some type of fundamentalist group to push them out,
That's never going to backfire.
Right.
Totally fine. Well, also, I wanted to go back to, talking about we all have lived through the whole forever war on terror. And apparently we're trying to shoehorn this into being part of it. But it also feels like with Iran, we are speed running the Iraq war, weird fuckery, right? Where on Saturday, It's people like, senior administration officials are telling reporters, well, we got intel that Iran was going to strike, and so we needed to be really quick and do it. And that was Saturday. Meanwhile, on Monday, Pentagon briefers are like, no, that's not true. There was no intelligence that was telling us that. So like, we got it done in a weekend, you guys. That whole process we went through in like 2003, 2004, 2005, we got it done in 3 days. Aren't we proud?
Yeah. You know what? Speed run. Yeah. That's a perfect descriptor of what's going on. I mean, as far as that
kind of
part
Trump's
goes.
deal. He loves those.
Well, because he doesn't have a long attention span, right? And so everything is a speed run when you got to get
really
it done
much
with.
time left. Like, have you seen his hands? Have you seen his neck? Like, he's got to move quick.
Okay. Quick interlude. All right. If there was ever any doubt, all right, let's put this doubt to bed right now. Trump is never telling you that he got bit by a zombie. Never.
No.
He's never telling you he got bit by
he'll say, I was taking anti-zombie cream and I had a reaction.
You're looking at him. You're looking at him, looking at the mess under his sleeve, and he's like, "No, I'm fine. It's fine. It's fake news, right?"
Let me into the fort. It's cool. It's good. It's fine. I got scraped up by the fence. It's cool. Don't worry.
He is endangering your whole community. All right. And this interlude is not only for pleasure. All right. This is a good way of understanding him in general. Right. Like you're going to have to make sure he wasn't bit by a zombie, because he's not going to be like,
tell whatever story he needs to tell.
Right. Exactly. He's not walking out to that tree to go die himself. Right. He's taking everybody with him if he's going.
But it is unfortunately still the position of the Half the Answer podcast that man is not currently alive and has not been alive for several months or even years, and that he is being animated by the spirit of evil itself. It's not actually, his body doesn't need to continue to function. There's something else happening in there.
Oh yeah, no, that's true. That is our official position. That is
and it's backed by science.
Let me tell you, zombies, they love me. Okay, nobody loves zombies more than I do. Okay,
more than me.
I feel for the zombies. The zombies are tremendous people.
Zombies
when
for
you
Trump.
get
Zombies
to
for
know
Trump.
them. Okay, so just all this talk. Everybody loves the zombies. Okay, fake news that I was bit by one. I wasn't actually bit. Okay. But even if
I could walk down Fifth Avenue and bite somebody right in the face and they would still love me.
Even if they did bite me, you guys, it wouldn't actually do anything because I have tremendous genes. I'm the healthiest person that you could ever imagine. Okay.
Right.
The healthiest.
I can draw a clock, no problem.
CNN journalist is like, so we heard you got bit. He's like, you are just the nastiest. You are just you work for the nastiest company. It's absolute nonsense.
The way you've treated me is horrible. Absolutely horrible.
I wish I got bit by a zombie.
I can't believe they would say these things. I can't believe you say things like this to me, like right in front of my face. Okay,
yeah. I've been so kind to you.
So nasty.
So nasty. So
quiet piggy.
Good interlude. Quiet piggy.
Oh, that one's crazy. That one was crazy. Quiet. I mean, a lot of them are crazy, but that one is like, holy shit.
It's been there's just so many of them that like it's amazing that you could forget Quiet Piggy, and yet I was reminded of it earlier today, and I was like, right, Quiet Piggy. I forgot.
So speed running the war on terror, it made me realize something that I did mention on Blue Sky, that our childhood was for nothing, right? We didn't learn anything, we learned something, but unfortunately we're being held hostage in a situation where septuagenarians are dominating power past their prime, and so we're not able to implement these lessons that we did actually learn. And so we are literally doing the same thing. And as Jeff, as you noted, like many of the same characters are like kind of around.
And a lot of the same media figures who are like, we need to go to war in Iraq are still employed, right? And still justifying this shit.
What are your thoughts as it concerns, does this speed running mean that as some people conceive that, you know, with Trump's attention span, we'll be on to the next country by mid-March, or does this thing, you know, drag on, as Caitlin noted, to be, you know, part of our new unbridled hell?
Well, with the John Rowe doctrine, we can go anywhere on this hemisphere or into the Middle East. It's all fine, right?
What concerns me is not only being in the Middle East and letting this drag on, but then also saying, now let's go over here and do this too. Because that concern that I have extends back to, for example, Cuba, or even, and I know this is going to sound crazy, right? Brazil. Think about it. His friend, the former president of Brazil, got locked up for his crimes, and now
that's scary. Yeah.
Lula da Silva running Brazil. Okay, you don't think that chafes against him and Stephen Miller and all the rest of the ghouls there? Of course it does.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it does. And so I wouldn't be surprised if that was a consideration next as well. And so the thing about this administration is that it is so wild and unhinged that we can't really know what's going to happen next. Anything is possible. And that normally people would use that phrase as like, I don't know, anything's possible, as like a way to encourage people. Like, yay. Oh, yeah. No, you could totally be the next president of the United States. Anything's possible. I mean, look at who our current president is, right? But in this case, no. What's going on is saying anything is possible is basically your next harbinger of doom.
Yeah. And it could come from anywhere. It's you're in like a haunted house in the dark, and like it literally the next ghoul could come from any direction.
Well,
we're feeling really Halloween-y today, I guess.
We
a lot of Halloween. Zombies and ghouls.
It's dark. Spooky time.
It's not. It's almost Easter. Come on, bunnies.
No, it's spooky time. It may not be Halloween, but it's spooky time. Like this shit is scary. And
it's been the last year.
Yeah, exactly. We've been hanging on the upside down. Not going to say what that's from. The pacifist musty, right? The Dutch pacifist musty. And of course, like pacifism has many problems of its own as it concerns living in a, you know, international world in which you can't avoid violence sometimes. But as per the idea that we continue to move on to different countries after we do Iran, after we, you know, blockade Cuba, after we steal the president of Venezuela. The problem after a war is with the victor. He thinks he has just proved the war and violence pay. Who will now teach him a lesson? Right? And this is sort of the problem with imperial conquest. And that's what he's writing about at this time. Is that once we like take one over, like, you know, once you have one cheese doodle, like you having more, right?
Venezuela was emboldening, if nothing else, right? Like it made him feel like he could do whatever.
Right. And of course, like this is he we're talking about speed running. The president is speed running like minor philosophical thought, right? Like, yeah, like you have like a good amount of strength, right? You are a person who has a good amount of strength in the position you're in, and you're leading a country that has a great deal of strength. But the reason for multilateral cooperation and mutual coordination and friendship and you know, groupings It's because we cannot always anticipate that we're going to be strong. We cannot always anticipate that we're going to be able to just do things unilaterally. We cannot always anticipate that this is even wise or profound to think we should be doing, right? And so this president, he only understands this brute force. And I believe, as Sam has previously noted, his opportunism. Right? Trump is not like a person who looks around and is like, let me like pick strong countries to go after. Like he waits for them to like look like they're tanking, and then is like, all right, like let me go like apply more pressure to see if I can like pop the zit. Right?
That gazelle looks like it's limping. I'm after it.
literally, yeah. Right? And so, Jeff, I think that is a very valid concern that this doesn't stop, that, you know, we end up appraising the past in several months, perhaps several years. And what we really end up seeing is like, you know, like in a cartoon where you look behind where like the Tasmanian devil was and like everything's broken. Right. And that's certainly not how I wanted to spend my 30s and 40s, but that is what it is. I feel for the children, because the children actually are the ones who are going to suffer most, because we already had to suffer this as children. Sorry, we got the primer, right? But we really didn't want any more children to have to go for one of these. And as you noted, Jeff, not only are our children having to live through this, but there are many other children who are not going to live through this, and that is horrifying, breathtaking, and we should all feel worse. But Jeff, we know that unfortunately we've got to let you go sooner than later. It breaks our heart, but well, we like to end our programs with something positive, and so I'm going to ask you 3 questions. The first question is, what's your favorite ice cream flavor?
I have whiplash, Trent. Oh my God.
Number 2, what are some things that people can do to fight back, to feel good about trying to make a difference,
they've done what they can,
to push the tide of nastiness back? And number 3, I need you to plug yourself. I need you to tell all the people where they can find you, where they can watch you, where they can subscribe, and they can hear you rant all the time. Maybe even see us.
There you go. All right. So question number 1, cheesecake ice cream.
Oh my God. Wait.
Delicious.
That sounds amazing. I don't think I've ever had cheesecake ice cream.
Never had strawberry cheesecake ice cream? Oh, that's delicious.
So.
It's really good. And look, I love a lot of different ice creams. Like sometimes I'm in the mood for like a, mint chocolate chip, or like, the cheesecake, of course, which is really good. And there's some other flavors, Superman or Scooperman, whatever whatever you want to put it. That's also really good. Blue Moon, a lot of good ice cream. All right. I'm an ice cream connoisseur. Okay. I love all the different, I love so many different flavors. I'm surprised I'm not 300 pounds heavier. Okay. I do love my ice cream though. But there's that question answered. Okay. So let's go to the second one. Okay. What can we do? I think the immediate thing, since we are getting closer to primary season, one of the things that I have always wanted to see is more participation in Democratic primaries. Now, why is that important? What are you talking about, Democratic primaries, when we're fighting a fascist movement? Because we have to have representation that actually can fight a fascist movement.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We currently don't have that. You think Chuck Schumer, Chuckles, is really fighting against this? No. Oh, no. When you look at the polling, okay, most Americans are not on board with striking Iran on behalf of the Israeli government.
Yeah. Right.
But he is, Chuck Schumer is,
His main objection to this has been process based. It's about like they didn't make the justification, they didn't go through Congress. Not this is bad because it is.
Right. And so it's one of those situations where it's like, bro, you care more about our relationship with Israel than you do about, I don't know, doing the right thing and not bombing children or getting us involved in another disastrous Middle Eastern war that is going to cost U.S. lives, U.S. money, as well as the lives of people overseas and, bring up the costs of things like oil
and disrupt access to things that people need,
Right. The Strait of Hormuz is now under watch by Iran. They've closed it. That's going to raise prices. And you mentioned all those things. I just want to add one more thing, right? International prestige. Of course, America has problems, right? And those criticisms have always been known, right? But as you noted before, Jeff, right? While we should rightly critique all of our presidents, whether it's Joe Biden or Barack Obama or George Bush or Bill Clinton or this terrible fascist, right? Like, we must remain realistic on, all right, I didn't like those establishment fellers very much, but also think that they were better than, say, the worst president that we've had. The one that, James Buchanan and Franklin Pierce and Andrew Johnson are like, oh boy, glad he came, right? Like, he pushes us all up one
relief.
one rank, right? George Bush is like, finally, I could just go paint in peace, right? This guy totally has got me off the hook. No, it's important. It's important that we recognize that we've lost a lot, and there are some things that we've lost.
And you can see it in the polling. Democrats are disappointed with the lack of fight in their leadership, and they're looking for fighters. And so this primary season, we need to see those fighters stand up and say, it's going to be me. And they're going to get some support for that.
Exactly. And that's why I say primaries are so incredibly important, because if you do want those fighters, it's not like there are not those people that are running. They are, but they are getting challenged, or they are challenging incumbents, or they're challenging establishment folks that are getting that same kind of AIPAC money or big corporate money that is making them, in my view, weak, but it's a weakness that is on purpose. They lose to the right wing. And I know it's my own personal conspiracy theory, but the money and the influence from these big corporations and these big mega donors that are very, very pro-Israel, giving money to members of both parties. Yes, mainly currently Republicans, but they have been giving money to people on the Democratic side as well. And that corruption, I believe it does make these Democrats weak and pathetic and subservient to other countries' interests and not American interests.
As Caitlin has noted before, it's this... Have I? You have. It's this sort of... it's this race to the middle. It's this race to be more palatable.
Which is not even the middle.
It's the golden mean fallacy.
Yeah. We're just attempting to find this happy place where everyone will be content with what we did. And, that doesn't exist. You've got to make a stand, and you're going to make some people
that's
upset.
The other part. It's not a good sales pitch to say, I'm going to give you policies that end up doing sort of what the Republicans wanted to do anyway, but without that evil little thrill of getting to hurt the yucky people. Like, that's not a good sales pitch, right? That's what the Democrats have been trying to sell. And it's like, no one's buying that, because either we don't like those policies, or we want the thrill of hurting the people that we hate. So you kind of lose us on both sides.
And they still end up hurting some of those people anyway. I mean, again, all you have to do is look at some of the rhetoric coming from Gavin Newsom about the trans community. Horrendous. And realize that guy is not going to be a friend to transgender folks. Okay. No. He's not a friend to transgender folks. He's not a friend to homeless people. not a friend to any of those marginalized groups that we as you know, at least myself as a leftist, I care about. And I want to see them not
100%.
only protected, but I also want to see the situations that they're facing fixed through good government action. I actually do believe that, you know, we can have a government that actually cares for these people and does right by them, but we currently don't have that. We're having a government that is really bad towards them. And people like Newsom are saying, well, let's just be slightly less bad. But generally, I agree with Republicans.
Yeah, but I'm still going to repeat all these right-wing myths about trans people and what they're like and, you know, what's happening with young people and what's happening in sports. And I'm going to sit across from Charlie Kirk and I'm going to nod along while he says some really evil shit.
Yep. And we have to stop. We have to stop. I did this the other day. I was having a discussion. Somebody asked me a question and I was like, I'm not answering your question. And they said, well, because you can't answer my question. And I said, no, your question is incorrect. It's on the surface. So as a result of it not actually being connected to reality, I can't answer that question. I'm not going to answer that question. You're going to have to come to reality with the rest of us. And then you can ask a question based on living in the world. And at that point, I'll answer whatever question you'd like. Right. And we can disagree. We can agree. It is what it is. But we have to stop giving them anything that is incorrect. If it's incorrect, we have to say, nope. Once we come into
this whole like, world, oh, well, we can all agree there's a crisis at the border. We can all agree that like some trans rights are just a bridge too far. It's like, no, we can't. We can't and we shouldn't because we like to say things that are true.
And we don't like messing around with hypotheticals and edge cases, which is a common occurrence when dealing with members of the right wing who always tend to bring those up. Right. And, you know, it's
what about Lake and Riley? You never protested about Lake and Riley. It's like, well, because like that was a murder that got dealt with in the legal system. Like, I don't know what we were supposed to be doing in the streets.
That's part of it. That's part of it. They're like, well, why didn't you get mad at the horrible violence committed against? Of course, no one wants any horrible violence, but the thing that you're talking about, as Caitlin just alluded to, was handled like a regular.
The government over prosecuting a murder the normal way.
They're doing it the right way. When the government does it the right way, you don't have to go and protest, right? You can just be upset that it happened in yourself.
They're doing it with Iran too. Why aren't these college kids out there protesting Iran? Well, because their university is not invested in the government of Iran the way that it is in Israel.
And of course, you know, they always tend to move the goalposts on that as well. You know, oh, well, you didn't. So, okay, sure, you didn't, you know, protest against the murder of Lake and Riley because, you know, the person that killed her was, you know, punished and everything. But they shouldn't have been here in the first place. Why aren't you mad about that?
Okay.
The border security, porous border. We don't have any borders anymore. You know, we don't have any of those. They're just you know, flowing over the border, pouring over the border.
My favorite thing is when they post like a video or a photo of people moving through an immigration checkpoint and they're like, look, open borders. They don't have any. And it's like, that's a photo of a checkpoint. That's them doing the procedure.
That's the complete opposite of being open.
But again, you know, people...
They had to do the checkpoint.
People are goofy and, you know, they think that like if you were to go to a border, right? They think that if you were to go to some border region, that you might see like a red and white striped line, like, you know, cutting the two parts of the field in half, right? It's just a forest, guy, right? It's just a desert. It's just a field. Yeah. It's just land. The border, it's made up. It's a made up idea. It's the edge of our sovereignty.
We need weaponized drones every 4 feet along the entire border, or else we're not secure. Let's go.
Yeah, and the whole view they try to put in people's heads about the border is like a scene from Daisy, or not Daisy, but World War Z, right?
Right.
I went right to my video games. But no, World War Z. That was that movie, and just a whole wave of zombies pouring over the border into the building or into the safe zone and murdering everybody inside. And that's not reality.
No.
And these people don't live in the real world. They don't live in reality. They don't. Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest borders one of the biggest issues at the border here is not like, oh, it's porous and everybody can come through, whatever. It's actually the fact that we don't have enough immigration judges, and we haven't had enough immigration judges at the border.
Social workers, immigration judges,
exactly.
All sorts of stuff. Absolutely.
That's the real problem, because that's what's slowing down immigration. But again, that is the whole point, is that Republicans have always wanted to slow down immigration to make it harder for people to come here and to become citizens. Because they don't want other people here. They don't want people who are not white.
They it that their status is incomplete, right? As many immigrants as possible who cannot have finished the entire process, the better. Right. And also, it's not a tank. I don't want to pay for it. So we're not going to be funding the judicial system or the social workers or anything like that.
They want to encourage illegal immigration, by the way, too. And that's the other thing, right? Like, they want to encourage that by making it as difficult as possible for people to become citizens, to come over and work and live here legally, because they want that. I mean, you can just go back to the very draconian border bill that was during the end of the Biden administration. That, Trump said, oh, this is a very draconian bill. Can't pass it because I want to run on immigration. I want to run on how weak the border is, which is why all you Republicans need to vote against this. And again,
it can't be a solved issue.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And of course, Biden's like, oh, well, we're going to pass it in and we're going to get it through. I mean, all it was a narrative. It was never reality. This whole, border situation. And they just, the right wing, they make things up for political gain, for political points, and, use it to run against Democrats instead. So, and too many of our Democrats, unfortunately, can't figure out how to, fight against that.
Yeah. To paraphrase, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. The Republicans of today can't tell me about immigration because the Republicans of 1865 already told me about immigration and about citizenship and about birthright and about all of these things that they'd like to tell us we don't know about. We already know what it is because after the Civil War, we got many positive things done that help to highlight the fact that anyone here is an American, anyone born here is an American, and America is a beautiful idea that anyone can be a part of, and it's one of the reasons why we love it. Mr. Jeff, we appreciate you so much. Can you tell everybody where they can find you, where they can subscribe to you, where they can hear your rants and they can see you?
If you're interested in coming and watching some of my videos, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Logically Leftist. Check it out. New videos 5 days a week. So there you go. We've also got a Facebook page, facebook.com/Jeff Waldorf Show. And you can find me on Blue Sky, of course, at Logically Leftist. All those fun stuff. Fun things to do, fun places to find me. And really, I'd love to see y'all there.
Well, absolutely. Go follow Jeff, all the great stuff that they're doing over there. Certainly the Logical Left. It's been a pleasure. You'll come back and spend more time with us. You might even catch us over there sometime. But Caitlin, well, you know that understanding a question is half of an answer. And this has been Half the Answer with your hosts, Trent and Nelson and Caitlin M. Green. And until next time, bye.
Thanks for listening to Half the Answer, presented by Liberal Currents. You can find Half the Answer anywhere you get your podcasts. Liberal Currents is an entirely listener and subscriber-funded publication, which includes programs like Half the Answer and Neon Liberalism. So, if you like what you've heard and wish to contribute, you may do so at liberalcurrents.com and through Patreon. And remember, understanding a question is half the answer.